Welcome to this Finding Your Program session, part of World Exploration Week at Augsburg University. My name is Andrea Dvorak. I use she, her, hers pronouns, and I'm one of the advisors in the Study Abroad and Away office. So this session is meant to help you begin to plan for an off-campus program by highlighting how you can zoom in on the priorities that matter most to you, while also hopefully opening your mind to the many options that Augsburg has for you. So I've created a worksheet which you can use to follow along with today. At the end of this session, you should have a clear idea of your priorities for your experience, a basic sense of the program types that you can choose from, and a list of critical questions that you can use in a number of different ways to guide a one-on-one conversation with a study abroad advisor, to help you explore our program website and identify programs that would work for you, or kick off a conversation with a study abroad or away program representative, maybe by email or in person at a study abroad fair. Now, most of the time, students start their planning like this. See if any of this looks familiar. So I've already been to Mexico for vacation, so Europe is the place for me, right? It's understandable to look to our friends and family and folks that we know to hear what programs they've done or what they say matters most. But there are a few problems with starting out this way. First, it limits your options. If you start out by eliminating all the programs available to you, except for the ones in Australia, you won't have very many choices. Once you start to layer on other priorities that come to mind, let's say cost or classes you need, you might find very few programs that fit and give up. This limiting also keeps you from finding huge benefits in a program you might never have considered. Second, this approach is really location focused, which honestly is kind of understandable. Isn't it one of the first things you ask when someone says they're studying abroad? Where are you going? But this focus on location is not usually based on firsthand experience, but we're eliminating entire countries or regions without a second thought. Why would I have to go to China just because my sister enjoyed it? Or I could never go to Australia because my brother didn't like it. How do I know I'll feel the same? The assumptions we make about these locations most likely wouldn't reflect your actual experience if you went there. But the biggest problem with this way of thinking about what program to do is that it sells you short. It's an easy way to pick a program, sure, but without figuring out what really matters to you, you miss out on the benefits of the perfect program that checks all the boxes for you. Take the time to figure out what you really want. It might be nothing like the program your friend is doing or your sister recommends. Remember, these experiences take time and effort to plan and apply for. And you're going to have to pay something for them too. So we want you to feel confident it's going to be worth it. We wanted to meet your personal and professional goals, your hopes and your dreams. So let's start figuring out what those priorities are and quit crossing our fingers. Now, ideally, the program you choose is a good match for your priorities, which are hopefully your academic goals and your personal interests. So let's start with some of the big picture questions. The 6 topics that are listed here are part of the questions that are on the worksheet that you have in front of you. Feel free to pause this video while you fill those out. Okay, I want to highlight a couple aspects here that many students skim over. The first is question 2 about support versus independence. So since you're in college now, you might feel like you have a high level of independence already. Maybe you moved away from home, you're managing just fine. But many of us really rely pretty heavily on family or friends for a lot, week in and week out. If that's you, an off-campus experience could feel a little bit like getting thrown into the deep end of the pool, or some of them could feel that way, especially if you're navigating international airports by yourself or handling foreign money, maybe working in a language that isn't your first one. All of that could be a lot. Conversely, some of us might be pretty independent already. We might even say we're stuck in a rut or could stand trying something outside of our comfort zone. We might already manage a challenging academic schedule, a work schedule, personal life, and a lot more without breaking a sweat. Or we might just feel excited to handle a lot of these challenges and confident we can do it. Navigating new things is part of any off-campus experience, and they're part of what makes these experiences fun and engaging, but it's important to take an honest look at ourselves. How independent am I now? What support do I need in my daily life, and what can I really handle? Some of this might have to do with specific support that we need. We might know, for example, that if we have structure in our day, we're going to manage our mental health issues better. We might recognize that we're going to just do better academically if the expectations are similar to a US university like Augsburg. It's really important to honestly identify where we can stand to challenge ourselves and where we should really look for support, and make sure the program that we pick is ready to meet us where we are. Next, I want to highlight some of the work involved in academic planning. This was question 4. If you didn't immediately have an answer to this one, or if you put a question mark there, you've got a little work to do in reviewing your major, minor, and gen ed requirements. What year you are, what major or minor do you have, what you've taken so far and passed, what do you have left to do. All of this plays into what program options you have and which ones will just delay graduation for you. If you aren't sure about this yet, it's time to set up an appointment with your academic advisor, or maybe pull up your major checklist in AugNet and try to get a sense of this information. Students often ask me, when's the right time to study abroad? And the answer really depends on what you want out of the experience, but also where you're at in your degree. So similar to these other conversations. Some first-year students go on a well-supported program when they're sophomores. They get a lot of support, they have their general requirements done, and they love the experience. Others go as juniors or seniors and take a more advanced class in their degree or an internship or research. Some athletes choose a short-term program so it doesn't overlap with their schedule for games and practice. So the best tip I can give to you is start planning as soon as you can, because the sooner you do, the more flexibility you'll have in choosing a program that also meets your other priorities. Finally, before we go any further, let's address the elephant in the room for most students, which is cost. So I haven't addressed this before now because I do want you to focus on what you get out of the experience, not just the money you put into it. It's also easier to talk about money when we have a specific program we can talk about and your specific financial aid to talk about, which I hope we can do later. For the time being, a few things to be aware of. First, Augsburg students can use all of their financial aid for a semester or academic year program. This helps most students at least breathe a sigh of relief. Second, we do give automatic travel grants for students doing our own programs. So that's an additional benefit that you can count on if you choose one of those programs. I'll point those programs out to you a little bit later. Third, there are additional scholarships out there that you can apply for. For example, the Gilman Scholarship gives up to $5,000 for a semester program for Pell eligible students. There's another scholarship called the Fund for Education Abroad. That's open to anyone. So many programs have their own scholarships as well. And these are all stackable on top of the financial aid you have already. Finally, starting an Augsburg application for a program costs you nothing, no application fee or deposit. But when you start one, we'll create a cost estimate for you, which includes details of how your personal financial aid will work with the program you're considering. Many programs students start multiple applications just to compare those program costs and see which program leaves you with the biggest balance or has the best cost. So don't start from a place of I can't afford it. But if cost is one of your biggest priorities, be honest about it and make a note. The sooner you acknowledge this, the sooner you can use that factor as one of your biggest priorities when you're looking at program options. Now, as we start looking at all of these issues, cost, classes, and etc., and you start exploring programs, you might find out that some of your priorities clash with each other. So for example, I'm working with a student right now who's got 2 big priorities: getting computer science classes for his major and using the German language that he's been practicing since high school. Well, there's a limited number of locations where German would be spoken, mostly in Europe, of course. So that will eliminate a lot of program options for him. But of those, not very many will give him the German-speaking roommate that he wants, along with computer science classes that he needs in English because he doesn't have the computer science vocabulary in German. So if he can't find a program that meets both of those priorities, he might have to make some hard decisions about which one matters more. Now, he could decide that the whole point of study abroad is to get really fluent in German. And so then he might choose a summer program where language is the focus and he doesn't have to worry about getting behind in computer science. On the other hand, he could decide that the experience learning computer science in an international setting is really going to help him with grad school. In that case, he might expand his location search to look at other options in Europe, hoping that he'll find one where he can do the computer science classes and visit Germany during his breaks. The important thing to know is these are both good answers. There are actually many right programs for you. It just depends on what priorities rise to the top. That's why identifying your real priorities early on is so important. You want to be able to eliminate programs confidently or add them to your list confidently, knowing that the reason you're doing it is tied to your goals. So I hope this has helped you zoom in on your true priorities. Take a second to note those in your worksheet. Make sure to include support you might need for a learning disability, specific classes or experiences you want. Maybe a thriving GLBT community is really important to you, or access to religious communities where you can practice. Cost limitations, anything else that comes to mind. In part 2 of this video, we'll get into the program categories, questions, and next steps. So stay tuned.